Welcome everyone to the channel, Insane Criminal Cases. We will tell you about the shocking criminal cases in the world. The topic of today's video will definitely interest you. Now let's find out. In recent years, China's efforts to combat corruption have brought to light numerous high-profile cases. Yet few have drawn as much attention as the scandal involving Li Jianping in Inner Mongolia. Li Jianping received a death sentence for his role in one of China's largest corruption scandals. His crimes included embezzling over 4 billion yuan, approximately $421 million, through bribery, misappropriation of funds, and connections with organized crime. His death sentence, initially imposed by the Intermediate People's Court in Inner Mongolia in 2022, was upheld by the Higher People's Court in 2024 after Li's appeal was denied. This ruling will be reviewed by the Supreme People's Court for final approval. As is customary in capital punishment cases in China, the case has sparked widespread public outrage and prompted renewed scrutiny of Inner Mongolia's governance, shedding light on the mechanisms and scale of corruption in resource-rich regions. Li Jianping's career exemplified the trajectory of an influential regional official within China's administrative structure. Rising steadily through the ranks, he eventually secured a powerful position in Hohhot, the capital of Inner Mongolia. Here, Li was responsible for overseeing various development projects, regulatory approvals, and financial allocations that made him a key decision-maker in the city's growth strategy. His authority extended over sectors including real estate, mining, and public infrastructure, giving him significant leverage in a resource-abundant region known for its mineral wealth. As Li's influence grew, so did his access to the financial channels and decision-making processes that would later facilitate his alleged schemes. Inner Mongolia's economy, heavily reliant on mining and other resource-based industries, provided ample opportunity for corruption. Officials like Li, who controlled project allocations and regulatory oversight, could leverage their roles to amass personal wealth while engaging in illicit activities. Li reportedly cultivated close relationships with business owners and regional power brokers, positioning himself at the center of a complex network that facilitated his alleged corruption. Details of the alleged corruption: misappropriating 4 billion yuan. Li's alleged corruption primarily revolved around his control over mining permits and construction contracts, sectors where vast sums of money circulate. According to reports, Li orchestrated bribes and kickbacks with major players in the mining industry, trading permits and regulatory leniency for substantial payments. The investigation revealed that a significant portion of the 4 billion yuan came from bribes disguised as consulting fees or business expenses, which were funneled into accounts managed by Li and his associates. These arrangements allowed companies to bypass environmental regulations and labor laws, leading to rapid but unsustainable expansion. In addition to bribes, Li allegedly misappropriated public funds earmarked for infrastructure and social welfare projects. Through a series of manipulated contracts and inflated project costs, he redirected large sums into personal accounts and those of his affiliates. It is estimated that approximately 1.5 billion yuan of the total 4 billion yuan came from over-budgeted projects and misappropriated development funds. Public infrastructure projects in Hohhot and surrounding areas reportedly suffered as a result, with delays and substandard construction becoming common complaints among residents. Investments in real estate and overseas assets. Further examination into Li's financial dealings uncovered a sprawling portfolio of assets, including luxury properties in China and abroad, luxury cars, and high-value art collections. Investigators estimate that Li diverted millions to acquire real estate across multiple provinces, establishing a network of shadow companies to obscure ownership. Additionally, he was linked to several overseas bank accounts, where he allegedly transferred funds to evade detection by Chinese authorities. How Li evaded detection. Li's position allowed him to cultivate a network of supportive colleagues and subordinates, many of whom allegedly benefited from his schemes. This network created a layer of protection around his activities, as individuals within the administration either turned a blind eye or actively participated in the corruption. By promoting loyalists and rewarding those who facilitated his activities, Li ensured a level of impunity that enabled his schemes to continue undetected for years. This culture of collusion highlights a significant structural weakness within local government, where loyalty often superseded accountability. Use of front companies and financial loopholes. Li employed a sophisticated system of front companies to funnel illicit gains, hiding his involvement through layers of shell corporations and accounts registered under associates' names. These companies handled transactions and managed properties, distancing Li from direct ownership while giving him ultimate control. Through careful financial planning, Li exploited loopholes in regulatory systems, which enabled him to move funds without raising immediate red flags. The anti-corruption investigation into Li Jianping began following a series of anonymous tips and internal audits that revealed inconsistencies in Hohhot's project budgets. These audits, part of a broader initiative by China's Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, CCDI, were initially routine but quickly escalated upon discovering significant financial irregularities. Li's extensive network of assets and transactions soon attracted national attention, and investigators from Beijing were dispatched to conduct a comprehensive probe into his activities. Investigators conducted an exhaustive review of Li's financial records, focusing on tracing the origins of his assets and identifying links between his official decisions and personal wealth. This process involved examining bank statements, tax records, and business registrations across multiple jurisdictions. Testimonies from subordinates and business associates also provided crucial evidence, revealing the inner workings of Li's network and implicating other officials within his circle. Over months of investigation, authorities compiled a case file detailing numerous instances of bribery, embezzlement, and abuse of power. The charges against Li Jianping included bribery, embezzlement, abuse of power, and obstruction of justice. In a high-profile trial, Li initially denied the allegations, claiming that the assets were legitimate and that he was a target of political adversaries. However, as evidence mounted, including records of illegal transactions and testimonies from key associates, Li's defense weakened. The court proceedings, broadcasted to a national audience, highlighted China's commitment to rooting out corruption, with prosecutors presenting detailed accounts of how Li's actions had affected public welfare and regional development. Impact on Inner Mongolia and public reaction. The revelation of Li's 4 billion yuan embezzlement case deeply impacted public trust in local governance. Residents expressed outrage over the extent of the corruption, particularly as the scandal shed light on how funds intended for public projects were diverted for personal gain. This erosion of trust manifested in protests and calls for increased accountability among local officials, with citizens demanding transparency in government spending and decision-making. Stagnation of development projects. As a result of Li's actions, several key infrastructure projects in Inner Mongolia suffered from delays, budget cuts, or complete abandonment. Roads, schools, and healthcare facilities remained incomplete, leaving communities without essential services. The economic impact extended beyond public projects, as private enterprises began to question the stability of doing business in Hohhot, affecting local investment and job growth. Media coverage and national dialogue on corruption. Li's case attracted significant media coverage across China, with state-run and independent outlets emphasizing the government's commitment to fighting corruption. Social media platforms buzzed with public commentary, with many citizens criticizing the lack of effective oversight and calling for systemic reforms. The national conversation on corruption grew, prompting the central government to issue statements reinforcing the necessity of ongoing anti-corruption campaigns. In response to the scandal, the government introduced a series of reforms designed to prevent similar cases in the future. These measures included stricter auditing processes, regular financial disclosures from high-ranking officials, and increased transparency in government contracts. Additionally, Inner Mongolia's administration began implementing a rotation system to prevent officials from holding positions for extended periods, aiming to limit the accumulation of power and reduce opportunities for corruption. Thank you for watching our video. Insane criminal cases. Chanel hopes you have had great entertainment moments. Wish you all the best.